The Indiana Fever just lost back-to-back games against the Dallas Wings, 19-0 run, against the Washington Mystics, 18-7 to start the fourth quarter. Lost the lead, lost the game. We just lost back-to-back games against teams we had no business losing to, even without Caitlin Clark.
It look like the Indiana Fever has lost another game due to Kelsey Mitchell. Guys.
The Indiana Fever just lost another game they should have won. And this time, the internet is absolutely roasting them. Kelsey Mitchell missed yet another game-winning shot, and Stephanie White's coaching choices are leaving fans furious. But here's the shocking twist. There was one player wide open who could have turned it all around. You won't believe who it was, and why they were completely ignored. Stick with us to uncover the truth behind this epic collapse. It was supposed to be a game the Indiana Fever could win, a game they had everything in their favor. They were up against the Washington Mystics, a team that, on paper, they could beat. But as the fourth quarter unfolded, everything started to crumble.
Her game plan was piss poor. It looked like a third grader probably writ her game plan out.
The Fever had control, but once the final period began, they let it slip away. After a solid first half, the energy was high, and the team was riding a 13-point lead. But then, just like clockwork, the dreaded third quarter blues kicked in. You could feel it. Their offense stalled, and the rhythm they built was completely shattered. Easy shots were missed, passes were sloppy, and the defense that had been aggressive earlier, non-existent. What happened next was nothing short of a disaster. The Fever lost their grip on the game, blowing a lead they had no reason to lose. They couldn't hold on to momentum, and it felt like they were their own worst enemies. Once the Mystics saw the opening, they capitalized. And just like that, the Fever watched their chances slip away. This wasn't just a regular loss. This was a game where they had it, until they didn't. And the worst part, it was a completely winnable game, but the Fever somehow found a way to let it slip through their fingers. As the game wound down and the pressure mounted, all eyes were on Kelsey Mitchell, the player everyone expected to step up when it counted most. But as history has shown, Mitchell's clutch moments are more like a cruel joke. Time and time again, when the game is on the line, she fails to deliver.
You guys were struggling offensively in that frame, second half in general. Did it feel the same as the first half on that end? Did something change for you guys? What did you see as kind of leading to stalling on that end?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of slow. And every time that we're slow, especially defensively, it just somehow affects our offense. And so I think the thing that we just have to continue to do that kind of got us on the run we had for the last couple games was we were aggressive at the opposing attack on defense, and that led to easy transition buckets. That led to everyone being aggressive and on their front foot on the offensive end. And, we have new players, and that's okay. But, we just have to adjust, and we need them. We've faced a lot of adversity.
It's no secret that Mitchell can light up the scoreboard early in games, but when it's crunch time, she's a liability. In a situation where the Fever needed someone to step up, Mitchell ended up taking the game into her hands. And once again, it ended in disaster. Her decision-making under pressure is questionable at best. Instead of finding open teammates or taking smarter shots, she forced plays that had no chance of succeeding. The missed layups, the rush drives to the basket, it was like watching a replay of all the failed opportunities from earlier in the season. Fever fans have seen this too many times to count, and this latest episode was the tipping point. Mitchell had the chance to redeem herself, but instead, she turned what could have been a heroic moment into yet another failed attempt. The numbers don't lie. Mitchell's track record in clutch situations is as reliable as a vending machine that eats your dollar. It's frustrating to watch, especially when the team's success hinges on these pivotal moments. While Kelsey Mitchell was busy fumbling away yet another crunch time moment, there was one player standing wide open, practically begging for the ball, Sophie Cunningham, a player who has consistently shown up when the game is on the line. Cunningham isn't the flashy star, but she's reliable, clutch, and fearless in the moments that matter most. And on this night, she was ignored. Left standing alone on the perimeter, arms outstretched, a neon sign flashing.
Second quarter comes around, slippage starts to start. We get up to a 13-point lead. Eventually it falls down. We end up 5 at the half, and that's not a bad half. Come out of the half in the dreaded third quarter, and we are flat. And I feel like in quarters like this, it just feels like we're slashing our own tires. Like we are stifling our own momentum.
I've got this. It's a slap in the face, really. Cunningham has earned her reputation as someone who can handle the heat. She's the kind of player who spaces the floor, moves without the ball, and gets herself into position when it counts. And yet, when the Fever needed someone who could deliver, the coach made the baffling decision to trust Mitchell instead. Even though her track record in these situations is well known for being spotty at best. The worst part, Cunningham was wide open, with no defender in sight. Yet she was completely ignored in favor of a player who's proven time and again she can't be trusted with the game on the line. This wasn't just a missed opportunity, it was a coaching failure of epic proportions. The decision to not give Cunningham the ball at that moment wasn't just a bad call, it was a statement that the Fever don't trust one of their most reliable players when it matters most. And that is a huge problem for both Cunningham and the team as a whole.
Carolyn Peck been, and where has the Indiana Fever are a more dangerous team without Caitlin Clark conversation gone? How come once the Indiana Fever suddenly stop that 5-game win streak, lose 3 of their last 4, how come Carolyn Peck has suddenly stopped showing up on TV? How come that narrative of the Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark? Why has that suddenly...
As if the coaching blunders weren't enough, there's another layer to this disaster. Caitlin Clark's growing frustration. Here's a player who, in just her second year, has already established herself as the foundation of the Indiana Fever. She's been carrying this team on her back, putting in the work night after night, and yet, when the game is on the line, she has to watch from the sidelines as the wrong player takes the shot. The cameras didn't lie. When the final possession played out, Clark's face said it all. Pure frustration. You didn't need a body language expert to understand it. There she was, busting her tail to keep the Fever in the game, playing like a true leader, only to see her coach once again hand the ball to Kelsey Mitchell, a player who has consistently failed to deliver in clutch situations.
Stephanie White press conference, we know this lady is allergic, flat out allergic to the word accountability. Stephanie White takes no accountability for anything. We are going to watch her pass the blame to everybody. I have not watched it yet. I'm going to see.
It was a moment of pure disbelief, and it was clear as day, Clark knew what every fan was thinking. Why wasn't Sophie Cunningham taking that shot? This isn't just about one bad decision. It's about trust, or the lack of it. If you're Caitlin Clark, how can you not start questioning your role on this team when you see these repeated mistakes from the coaching staff? She's putting in the work, trying to elevate the team, but with decisions like this, it's hard to see how the Fever can ever reach their full potential. If Clark is already this frustrated in year 2, imagine what the future holds if things don't change. Spoiler alert, it won't be pretty. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the heart of the Indiana Fever's problems lies squarely on the shoulders of head coach Stephanie White. It's clear by now that her decision-making, especially in crunch time situations, is completely out of sync with what the team needs to succeed. The lack of accountability, the stubbornness to make necessary adjustments, and the inability to put her players in the best position to win are glaring issues that simply can't be ignored anymore. Let's talk about that final possession. The Fever had everything they needed to win the game. Sophie Cunningham, wide open, Caitlin Clark, working hard to create opportunities, and a chance to take control of the moment. But instead of drawing up a play for the team's most reliable shooter, White opted to go with Kelsey Mitchell, who has proven time and again that she's not a reliable option in these situations. It was like watching a coach who hadn't learned from any of her past mistakes, simply repeating the same failed strategy over and over again. White's decision to let Mitchell handle the ball in that situation wasn't just a tactical error, it was a sign of deep-rooted stubbornness. It's as if she refused to see the obvious. Mitchell's inconsistency under pressure is well documented, and yet she continues to be trusted in the most critical moments. This is what you get when coaching meets ego. The real kicker. After the game, White took zero accountability. Instead of owning up to her poor decision-making, she passed the blame onto everyone else, never once admitting that the real issue was a failure to adjust, a failure to recognize what was happening on the court, and a failure to trust her players. This is the kind of leadership that causes frustration to boil over, not just among fans, but also within the locker room. And when the coach refuses to take responsibility, it sends a toxic message to the team. The players know who should have had that shot, and when they see their coach unwilling to admit a mistake, it chips away at the trust and respect the team has for the leadership. If this keeps up, the cracks in the locker room will only widen, and the road to redemption will get steeper with every game. It's not just about one bad game or one bad decision. This is part of a larger pattern that has plagued the Indiana Fever all season long. The team's struggles are a microcosm of everything that's wrong with the organization right now: missed opportunities, lack of coordination, and a growing sense of frustration. Every game, they show flashes of brilliance. Caitlin Clark's leadership, Aaliyah Boston's consistency, Sophie Cunningham's reliability. But when it comes down to closing out games, they always seem to find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Take the last few games, for example. They had momentum, they had the crowd behind them, and they had the Mystics on the ropes. But what did they do? They squandered it. It wasn't just a lack of execution. It was a total breakdown in communication and decision-making. Players who should have been stepping up were passive, while players who had proven time and again they can't be trusted were given the keys to the game. It's a recipe for disaster, and the Fever are serving it up every single time. And don't even get started on the standings. The Fever are now sliding down into 7th place, with their playoff hopes hanging by a thread. This is a team that should be competing for a higher seed, with the talent they have. But instead, they're finding themselves in a race just to stay relevant. And every loss like this one doesn't just hurt their playoff chances. It chips away at the team's morale, their confidence, and their belief that they can close out a game when it matters most. The problem isn't just talent. It's the inability to make the right decisions when it counts. Whether it's poor shot selection, sloppy turnovers, or a lack of defensive intensity, the Fever have repeatedly shown that they can't close games. And now, with their playoff spot in jeopardy, it's more crucial than ever that they fix these issues. But with the current leadership, it's hard to see how things will improve anytime soon. Every game like this just piles on the doubt. And at some point, the players have to wonder, how much longer can we keep fighting for a coach and a strategy that doesn't trust us to finish the job? This is the part that stings the most. The wasted potential. The Indiana Fever have the pieces to be great. Caitlin Clark, a generational talent, is already proving herself as one of the league's brightest stars. Aaliyah Boston, a force in the paint, has been the team's rock, consistently putting up strong numbers. Sophie Cunningham brings energy, clutch shooting, and the kind of grit every team needs in big moments. Even role players like Lexi Hull and Sonia Citron show flashes of brilliance, capable of making a difference on any given night. So, why isn't this team winning? Why aren't they performing at the level they should be? Because coaching is holding them back. When you have this much talent on your roster, you should be contending, not barely scraping into the playoffs. But instead of utilizing the strengths of these players, the Fever's coaching staff has repeatedly made decisions that undermine their potential. The choice to continually rely on Kelsey Mitchell in clutch situations is just one example of how talent is being wasted. The truth is, when you don't trust your players in crucial moments, when you don't play to their strengths, you're setting them up to fail. And that's exactly what's happening here. Sophie Cunningham, a player who's proven she can deliver in crunch time, is left ignored. Caitlin Clark, who should be the one leading this team into the playoffs, is stuck watching from the sidelines as decisions are made that hurt the team's chances. It's heartbreaking, really. This team could be so much more than what they are right now. With the right leadership, they could be competing for championships, not just struggling to hold on to a playoff spot. But until the Fever fix their coaching issues and start trusting their players to deliver in the big moments, they'll continue to fall short. And that's the real tragedy, watching a team with so much talent continuously beat themselves. So here we are, again, asking the same question: why does this keep happening? The Indiana Fever are wasting not just games, but their entire season, and, potentially, the future of this franchise. The mistakes in this game aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a much larger issue that continues to haunt the team. From poor coaching decisions to players being put in the wrong positions, it's clear that the Fever are trapped in a cycle of failure that they can't seem to break. At the heart of it all is the team's inability to capitalize on their strengths. With players like Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Sophie Cunningham, this team should be much more than just a playoff contender. They should be a force to be reckoned with. But until something changes, this won't just be one bad night. It will become the legacy of the Indiana Fever, a team that had it all but somehow couldn't finish the job. Fans are frustrated, players are frustrated, and at this point, even the coach has to be asking herself, what went wrong? The Fever are slipping further into irrelevance, and if they don't make some serious adjustments fast, they're looking at a future of missed opportunities and constant regret. It's time for a change, because if this team keeps going down this path, they'll waste another season of prime talent and leave fans wondering what could have been. So, what do you think? Is Stephanie White's vision the one that can finally get this team to the next level? Or is it time for the Fever to shake things up and try a new approach? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next Meltdown Breakdown.